Hello, Soul Family. It's Jules with a New You Makeover. This is the Starcaster episode, and I have Erica with me. And we are just sending you all so much love and light in this just really, really amazing time. I was just telling Erica how I feel those butterflies of falling in love. And I just keep on trying to figure out where it's coming from. And what I found is we'll let Erica take over the Starcast and just tap into these energies.
And I love our Starcaster. And again, I'm starting to write it down on paper because the information coming through is so important that it can't be overlooked. Like there is facts and events in the details. And so I am finding to try to be a little bit more detailed in the way I present the information. So we are coming up on a full moon and a lunar eclipse. And as we all know, it's going to amplify anything that we need to release, surrender, and let go to. But what's happening that people aren't realizing is that there's a conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto that is happening that started in April, that just happened again June 30th, and that will be happening again November 12th. So let me explain this because Jewel you teach in code. You teach in equation, and this is the power of threes. And threes I know mean so much to me because of you and the way that you teach and the way that you learn how to express and integrate the frequency of everything that you're receiving. So April 4th, 2020 was when the very first conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto hit. Jupiter is expansion. Pluto is power, death, and transformation. And for people that are like, wait a minute, that's when the pandemic globally hit. We were smacked in the face with we needed to change because life wasn't working. The last time we experienced that was in December 2007 when the recession hit, like the start of the recession. And everybody that are around now listening remembers what that was like. Now, the next Jupiter transition with Pluto, the conjunction, was yesterday for us in real time, June 30th. And what I like to look at this is 2020 is not to be escaped. In our last Starcaster, we said you're going to want to hit escape. You're not going to want to deal with what's happening. You're going to want to put the blinders on and look down and just hope you're going unscathed. You don't get that choice. It's not an option anymore. Life is in threes. We are in the second act of 2020. And so if you did not learn your lesson, maybe you only learned part of that lesson in April, it is going to be amplified and intensified starting yesterday. So during that transformation and conjunction, you are being put up to the grinder even more. So if you didn't figure out what was happening, it's happening now. And it's uglier and it's harder and it's like uncomfortable because it's unknown. You don't know where you're going. Jules is so amazing about living in the now and following each breadcrumb, right? We try to message out that just say yes and next, yes and next. We don't get to know where we're going, but we can look back and see how far we've come and kind of connect the dots, right? The astrology stars. The second act, the second piece that we're in is the action piece, and it's the longest piece. So it's going to peak in September, like the crescendo of a play, if you will, the climax of a play. And the third act is in November, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But what's amazing is that if you haven't dealt with your soul, if you're not being honoring and truthful to you, it's going to be amplified and intensified because of expansion, because of death and transformation, and because of this full moon lunar eclipse. It's a powerful, powerful time. Past, present, future, ready, set, go. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Right? I mean, we cannot deny this. No one can escape 2020.
And who would want to is
Right?
the big question.
Right. I mean, it's intense and heavy, but yet we're light. Our reality is light and love and expansion and limitlessness. That's where we are right now.
And I love how you said that because, you know, it might be heavy, but the heaviness that we're experiencing is just the release of density. And if we can look at it in that way, instead of attaching to maybe the emotional attachment to that density and just start to observe it and let it fall away, there's a lot of just, I mean, this is giving me full body chills right now. What's behind that? If we can just fully allow the experience to move through without judgment, is bliss. It is a bliss that like I keep saying, like, I feel like I'm falling in love, and it's like that giddy, just like overwhelming, just overflowing amount of love. And what is that? Well, we don't have to analyze it. We just get to experience it, just like we get to experience the release of density. They're both experiences that are available to us. It's just which side of the coin do you want to experience? We talk about that a lot, that anytime that we're experiencing density, on the other side of the coin is bliss. Well, how do we get to the other side of the coin? We fully allow ourselves to move through the attachment, release the density, and then see what is beyond that. Another way of saying that is every feeling fully felt is bliss. It's when we get caught up in the middle of that what I guess, how am I trying to say this? When we're attaching from density, we an emotion is released in the body. A chemical response is released in the body because that's how our body keeps us safe. Oh, something's changing. A chemical response is released, and we interrupt the density from falling away with the attachment, and then we get attached to the feeling that's coming in, or the chemical response. We're naming it as a feeling. And then, well, what happens next? And we talk about this all the time. Well, the mind wants to come in and label it or understand it and create a story around it so it feels safe. And then all of a sudden, just something that was trying to fall away to bring in more of this bliss just became this really big story, and we just moved down the rabbit hole. And if we can just be like, oh, my body's going into this reaction because it's moving into higher frequencies, and I'm releasing density that no longer serves me. I don't need to know what it is. I don't have to understand it. I can just allow it, watch it, and move to the other side. And then we get to experience the bliss.
And on so many levels, I just want to reach out and hug you because you're so good. You started the coin conversation, and I took that to so deep in my bones. And anytime I talk about it, I'm like, what side of the coin are you on? Because our mind and our body wants to complicate it, right? Our mind wants to label it, give it an emotion for our physical body to react so that we're so uncomfortable we think it's wrong. That's how you know it's right. When your body is having a physical response, instead of looking at it with fear, know that that's your indicator that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. It's supposed to be uncomfortable so that you can walk through it, so that you can actually flip the coin and say, well, wait a minute, instead of this being a fear response, why can't this be a bliss response, right? We've taught many times, and in the last Starcaster, where we were connecting to the heart, but as you had noted, and as you have even explained, it's really the divine mind, and then the rest takes care of itself. But until we can have an emotion for somebody to feel, because we feel all, they're not going to know to change their mind because they don't know how else to relate. Like, we're so blessed to have that blind faith. We're so blessed to just trust and say yes and next. We don't need to analyze. We don't need to know where we're going. And yet we know we're exactly where we're supposed to be because our yeses keep happening and faster and more. You know, we've been living as transmitters for 2 weeks, and my life has changed because of it. It's changed.
Oh, that's really, really beautiful. And gosh, as you were talking about that, there was a message that came through, and it was more a message of course, frequency patterns. And but what behind that, what I was resonating with is that part of not knowing. If we know the answer, if we know where we're going, if we know how we're going to get there, then we're not on the right path anymore. And that truly is how I have been living my life. And this weekend, we're moving into the freedom, the 4 days of freedom. And so every day we're connecting to the freedom. So the first day on Friday, which would be yesterday when you're listening to this, we were listening to our hearts of what in our life do we want to shift into the frequency of freedom. And that is where the density of attachment is. So what in our life are we ready to shift from density to freedom. And it just has to be that easy. It's just recognizing where in my life do I want to have freedom. And then, of course, today you're in the frequency of why. Why do you want to have freedom there? Because when we give the ego mind a reason why, it will change. If we're just saying, I want this, it doesn't give the ego a reason to make that shift. So why do you want freedom in this part of your life? And how powerful is that? Because just in those two frequencies of where do I want, I guess why do I want freedom in this, is going to bring us to this place of something beyond what we already have.
Yes. We are eternally free.
We are eternally free.
Like, I think we need to call that in. Like, I want us to do what you taught me in San Diego, what we did briefly in Starcaster the last time. This is where we are eternally free. We are unlocking the knowledge. We are unlocking the codes. We are unlocking the wisdom that we don't need to know what it means. We just need to transmit it. It's not for us to understand. It's not for us to know where we're going, but it is for us to receive, to transmit.
I love that. And as you were doing that, it just came to me with the why is actually just by choosing why we want something creates more freedom for ourselves.
Yes.
Because it's giving us a reason to move into a higher frequency. But really what it's doing is it's choosing to be aware of the choice of why we're choosing what we want. And that's, I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple. But so many people just make choices without asking, why am I choosing this?
Right. Nobody, like, and I'm perfect example. Like, I just go yes and next. I never think why. I don't question it. I just do it. I'm a doer. I make it happen. And then I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know I was doing that because I didn't even ask why. I just did it. But I'm finding the value in saying it's okay to ask why, and it's okay to want something in exchange because of it, right? For us, Eternal Gold Beauty, I want to look like I am 20 years old. I defy age because I can. Why? Because I want to have people look at me like, oh my God, what's your secret? I want that recognition. I want that reflection. So that's what I want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's my reality. That's my illusion of what I want to show the world, because I need to empower people to know that we are in control of our bodies. Our bodies are not in control of us. We are not victims. We are the power. We have the choice. Just flip the coin. All you got to do is flip the coin.
I love that. And I think that what you said is also something that we should bring back around the circle is when we're saying why, it's more from a personal choice. When we're told from our divine guidance to go do something, we don't get to ask why.
Right.
But when we're choosing a higher frequency in our life, because we're empowering ourselves with that, just like, why am I using Eternal Gold free? Yeah. Why am I doing DQ? Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I know I am that powerful that I can shift what it means to age. So those are really two different whys. And right now, these 4 days of freedom is all about choosing freedom and why we're choosing that. Like, what is it that we're choosing that for? Because just by adding the why to it, it amplifies the what. It's taking the what do I want in my life, and just adding this frequency of like, holy cow, I can create whatever I want because I'm that powerful.
And you just described our Make-A-Wish upon a Star of Bethlehem. You just the hourglass, right? Without even, whether you knew you were doing that or not, like, let's bring it back full circle. Welcome to the hourglass. Welcome to the power of threes.
It's so true. It's so true. So in this day that if you're listening to this on Saturday and you're just really moving into that frequency of why, really embrace it from this place of, I am not a victim. I am powerful. I am so powerful that I can create whatever reality I want. And then when we move into tomorrow, you get to discover what that's like. And because it's going back to that identity. So we just created this really beautiful thing about, I want freedom in this part of my life. This is why I want freedom. Now, what does that look like? Who am I when I'm living in this reality? Because so many times people kind of stop right there. And we have to move past that. So we know why, but now what are we becoming? And then we have to keep reminding ourselves of that, because it really is. It's almost like reprogramming a habit. And I think they say it takes 28 days to do a habit, but I say it's between 21 and 45, because we're not just changing a habit, we're changing an identity.
Yes. And I love that you said that, because my background is fitness. I was a trainer. And for people to wake up and work out, it was 14 days for the habit to be made, to at least get them to set the alarm for 5 a.m., to not hit snooze, and to get out of bed. It only took 14 days for them to get into the routine, but one day would muck it up and you'd have to start back over. And that was just to set up a routine. That was just to give them structure. We're rewiring. We are reprogramming. There is a very specific purpose to Deku. There is a reason why the entryway is Eternal Glow Beauty Skincare. There is a reason why we have New Earth Pathways. It's because we're creating modalities for people wherever they're at, regardless of their faith. It's just a choice. Like, we all have that journey. And when we're saying why, you're saying yes to you, and whatever that yes is for you and your higher self. And bless you. Like, I mean, it's so amazing that you've been able to give people so many different starting points, because everybody's at a different journey. Everybody's at a different frequency. And we all know we're going to witness something amazing. And we all know that it's going to crumble the house down as we get to that amazingness. And yet some people are just so afraid. What are you afraid of? We're going to thrive and we're going to survive. It's not about fear anymore. It's just about trust and be.
And so why don't we do a little clearing on that survival pattern? I know I talk about that a lot, but I think we almost need to honor that.
Yes.
And embrace it.
Yes.
And just say thank you for bringing me to where I am today.
Yes.
But now I release you with love.
Yeah.
So let's just shut our eyes and just bring in that frequency of fear of change.
And let's do one hand on heart, one hand on head.
Ooh.
Yeah, sorry.
What that's like.
Yeah.
And we just welcome the frequency pattern of survival. Mm-hmm. We welcome the frequency pattern in the brain and in the body, and how these work together so beautifully to keep us safe. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to bring so much love and so much light to these frequency patterns, and thank them for bringing us to where we are today, as we sit in this beautiful divine light. And we just ask to release with love. We ask to release the need to have chemical responses to changes that are safe. We are rewiring the brain to be able to make higher frequency choices, higher frequency realities, higher frequency reflections, in the frequency of peace, joy, ease, and love. Mm-hmm. And again, we release these old survival patterns with ease and joy, with love. We thank them for what they've done for us, but we release them with love. And so we're just watching the brain rewire. And now let's go ahead and put both our hands on top of our head and just ask for the download that our divine mind can hold the frequency pattern and the reflection and the conscious reality that we are safe to move into the frequency of freedom. We are safe to make higher frequency choices. We are safe to move through change with ease, joy, and love. And just watching that download right into the mind and into the heart, into every cell of our body. And just relaxing into the joy in change. Relaxing the body into the peace that we are becoming. Just allowing yourselves to just feel the gentle shift of the universe as you move into what is next. As you choose freedom in every part of your life. And it is done.
So amazing.
Change is fun. That's what I want to leave with, is change is fun. So choosing freedom. And, and when we find the parts of our lives that maybe aren't in alignment with that energy of freedom, it's not about feeling sad about that or resistance to it. It's about just recognizing I can change this.
Yes.
I can change this. And it may be that the change is just how I see this.
And I just want to share one more tip because it's just coming into me so loud. And we talked about it before we started recording. Spin, twirl. Like, my boys, the energy is so strong. The frequency is so strong. My boys are just twirling. Wonder Woman would just spin before she, with her golden lasso and her arms out wide, she would spin and spin and spin, and if you're not in a place to spin, twirl your hair. Like, Jules, we've had so many times where counsel would say, you have to make this fun. You have to find the joy. Play in the change. Play in the unknown. Play in the frequency. We look at children and they can have something very tough happen. And in a second later, they're laughing and they're giggling and it's like didn't even exist. It's like they shuck it off. It's that simple. So let us go through the eye of a child and just play in it because it's not that tough. It's that easy. We're done. We are free and we are safe. So let's play and get excited and butterflies and exhilaration.
I am ready. So we release with love and we step into the frequency of freedom.
Spin your way into your reality.
Have fun. And have fun this weekend and just honor and love yourself as much as we honor and love you. Thank you for just spending this time with us. And we're just sending you all great big hugs. We love you so much. Namaste.